I never wanted to tell this story, the oldest one, the one that I now recognize really matters. I mean, I already lived through it once, and I didn't really want to go through it again. Welcome to the Serve, Love, Lift podcast. I'm Tiffany Garvin. Years ago on a quiet beach in Hawaii, I felt the weight of the pain and struggles we all face in this world and how much we need each other. Soon after, this movement was born to serve, love, and lift. I believe that we are meant to serve the world with our unique gifts, love ourselves and others, and lift each other up to live with joy. This podcast is here to help you heal your heart and your life and empower you on your path to becoming the best version of yourself. I invite you to listen carefully and jot down notes that come to mind, whether they come from me or from your own heart. Then, share this episode with 3 people who you feel could use it today. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get going. I never wanted to tell this story, the oldest one, the one that I now recognize really matters. I mean, I already lived through it once, and I didn't really want to go through it again. So for the past decade, I've been telling a newer, more dramatic story, one that was easier to tell, one that starts when I was 22. I had paused my higher education, studying fashion design to serve a mission for my church. I was healthy and bright and excited to find a new sense of joy in this service opportunity. Then it hit. My first weekend in, and a random virus triggered the onset of an 18-year journey of 3 chronic illnesses. It left me with debilitating pain, mind-numbing fatigue, brain fog, and memory loss. Not to mention the frequent emotional lows. I was a mess. But that was just the evidence, symptoms of deeper wounds. The real story, the one I haven't wanted to dwell on, is the story of the many traumas, big and small, that led up to those illnesses. A car accident around the age of 16, where my friend and I were hit by a drunk driver. We were run off the road by a jacked-up 4x4 truck that rolled and somehow, according to witnesses, did an upside-down pirouette on the top of my friend's tiny Geo Metro. His cooler and tons of ice flew everywhere. Then the truck landed on its side several feet away from us. I was in shock, and my friend was panicking because she couldn't open her door to get out of the car. She yelled at me to open mine. We made it over to a convenience store to call for help. Meanwhile, the drunk driver ran away. Miraculously, we walked away with only a few visible wounds, deep bruises from our seatbelts, and a couple cases of whiplash. However, the most significant wounds were invisible. I was almost 16, but after that, I was in no hurry to get my driver's license. In my later teens, I had a less than stellar dating life with boys who weren't the most chivalrous. Their unwanted physical advances and manipulative tendencies amplified my insecurities. I often felt trapped, used, confused, and worthless. But no one really knew because I was ashamed, believing that somehow I had asked for that kind of treatment. Beyond those bigger traumatic experiences, I also had my share of teasing and bullying in school. Each time I felt more and more alone. From that time, I've struggled to feel like I actually belong anywhere. These are just a few of my early traumas. Of course, there were more. Some more profound and some relatively minor. Some that hit me at my core, and some that require more delicate handling. So, when the slew of doctors with their million tests began searching for the reasons behind my suddenly present, life-sucking symptoms, Of course, they couldn't find anything physically wrong. Of course, they were quick to tell me it was all in my head or just stress. What they couldn't test for, what took me 18 years to discover, was that my early traumas, in all their toxicity and short-circuiting, were the real root causes of my illnesses. The compounding effects of layers and layers of unresolved traumas finally overflowed and caused the sweet-faced facade to break. I'm not even going to get into the new compounding traumas that happened when my health began falling apart, trying to explain my lack of activity to my mission group and leaders. I will tell you, though, about the fear of coming home early. I was so scared about what my friends and family and congregation would think of me. I was scheduled to be out serving for 18 months, but had only been gone for a fraction of that. Would they think I had wimped out? That I couldn't handle it? Would they think I was weak or had done something wrong? When I got home, most people were kind, but there were still some who questioned why. Besides, except for a pale, withered countenance, nothing else was visibly wrong with me. No cast, no crutches, no big diagnosis to justify my early return. Just invisible pain, fatigue, mental fog, and overwhelm. Over the next few years, filled with doctor's appointments, alternative therapies, and very outside-the-box treatments, I worked really hard to stay hopeful and positive. I wondered if I would ever get to finish college. Would I find a nice guy willing to marry an invalid? What kind of quality of life would I have like this? So much for dreams and goals for the future. I was devastated. And let me be clear, I'm not looking for pity. I'm not looking for justice. I'm here to share my story and a powerful message of hope and healing. You see, a series of miracles happened too. The first miracle was that life went on. I didn't die, even though there were times where things were so hard that I wished I wouldn't wake up. After a while, my short-term memory came back, and the brain fog eased, and my hunger for learning returned. I was even able to go back to college and continue my studies. I had to manage my pain and energy, but I could do it. Then, miracle of miracles, I found a man who could see through my mess and love me for who I really was. We got married, and in 2003, we graduated from college together, a full 12 years after I'd begun. That next month, I tested for and earned my first-degree black belt in Kempo Jiu-Jitsu. That journey of martial arts nearly deserves an episode of its own. It was such a life-changing experience for me. A few months later, we had our first child. Number 2 came 2 years after that, and number 3, 4 years later. Wonderful blessings still came into my life. So often during those years with my health challenges, I felt powerless and constantly in the growth zone. So I would intentionally find new things to learn or experience where I could dictate how I was being stretched. This life is about growth, and I wanted more control of the challenges that would bring that growth. And kind of like a little kid, I did as much as I had energy to do. Sometimes that meant I'd overdo it and I'd have to recuperate for a few days. I was always in pain, but life went on. Then, after 18 years of nearly constant pain, fear of a lost future, and periodic visits to an emotional abyss, another miracle came. I healed. The chronic illnesses were gone, and what I learned changed the course of my life. It took decades for me to understand what had happened and why. Decades of searching, fighting, and learning profound life lessons. The journey shaped me. All the traumas and journey of healing shaped who I am now. I believe it can change your life too. So here's the first truth. It may be news to you, but many of the difficulties in your life, health challenges, relationship strain, impatience, identity issues, and more, are caused by trauma. Big traumas or everyday traumas. Big traumas like natural disasters, abuse, combat, accidents, and loss. And everyday traumas like getting cut off suddenly in traffic, hearing a crash in the other room where your children are playing, disappointing someone you look up to, being turned down for a job, a raise, or a date. It's easier for us to see how big traumas can short-circuit our lives. The truth is, these all leave a mark. And they compound over time, leaving you heavier, more vulnerable to new wounds, and less resilient to life's challenges. My traumas may not be as severe as others, but to be fair, I haven't shared everything. And that's the funny thing about trauma. The apparent size of it is less important than the impact it has on us and if it's addressed in a healthy way. So I've been there. I understand. I know what it is to have gone through trauma and feel its effects. I also know what it is to live with its lingering wounds, limitations on living fully and feeling joy. I'm still on this journey. In fact, being painfully transparent, my husband had to help me get through the preparation of this episode. While I've healed a lot of my trauma wounds, they're still a bit tender and can cause resistance when I try to move forward. I can feel stuck or my mind goes blank. I'll feel totally disconnected from what I've prepared. Or I'll suddenly feel dizzy, a little short of breath, or even a bit panicky. I'm still healing. There's no secret about that, but I've come so far, have regained so much internal freedom, and have a lot to share that I know can help you. So I'm here, being vulnerable. Also, I've never talked about my story like this. I've never wanted to dwell on it or complain about my difficulties because I've been so blessed. We go through hard things. It's okay. The point is, they don't have to own us. Here's a second truth. You have more power over your life and your healing than you realize. Your agency, or ability to choose, gives you the power to influence your life. You can choose to find support. You can choose how you react to your challenges. You can choose hope and optimism and healing. Now, don't get mad. I know this can be difficult. I know how impossible it can feel sometimes to endure one more day of pain and struggle. One more flashback, one more reminder of your wounds and the pervasive feeling of powerlessness. But the truth is, you can choose. Yes, you may need help. Nowhere does it say you have to go on this journey alone. Please find your support group, your advisors for hope, healing, and progress. Consider me a member of your support team. You are powerful. You can persevere. You can progress in your healing journey. You can enjoy a better quality of life. The third truth I want to mention today is that you deserve to have a life you love. One where your relationships thrive, you feel fulfilled, and your dreams come true. You deserve to experience joy. You have the right to breathe and exist and show up in your life. You matter to the world. You matter to me. I know there may be all kinds of reactions inside of you right now, almost like your skin is crawling or you want to jump out of your skin. That agitation is old programming in your subconscious from traumatic wounds, raising flags and blaring sirens to get your attention. Those wounds don't want you to believe these positive, hopeful things because they don't want you to put your guard down or feel better just to get hurt again. They're trying to keep you safe by keeping you trapped in the dark, heavy wounds of trauma. Do you see the irony? This is why it's so important to choose to believe the positive. Choose to move forward even though it's scary and uncomfortable. And choose to believe in all the good that's inside of you. In this space, let's use my restore technique to reprogram your subconscious, calm the agitation, and help you feel relief and resolution from these trauma programs trying to hold you back. Write down anything you feel impressed to record or keep track of. Thoughts, feelings, intensity of the discomfort, whatever feels important. Now think the word restore and take a deep breath. Think restore again and breathe. Come on, breathe with me. Think restore one more time and breathe. Pay attention to the intensity changing, new thoughts or feelings, especially relief or additional resistance. Let's do another round. Focus on moving through these blocks into the other side of the pain. Think restore and breathe. Let your neck and shoulders relax. Think restore again and breathe. Relax any other tension in your body. Restore one more time and take a nice, deep breath. Let it all go. Well done. Bless your heart for leaning in and taking some control back over your life. You are meant for more. Your traumas are just a part of your story. They're not your identity or meant to define your life. But they can be a catalyst to help you become more of you, stronger and brighter, and a light to help others overcome their wounds and challenges. So the 3 truths from today are: 1, many of the difficulties in your life today are caused by unresolved traumas. 2, you have more power over your life and your healing than you realize. 3, you deserve to have a life you love. We all have an origin story that sets us up for greatness. Some of them are wrapped in dramatic or devastating events. It's our choice to determine where and how they show up in the full narrative of our life. I invite you to make a decision right now that you will commit to your journey of healing, no matter how long it takes or how uncomfortable it gets. Choose to be all in with your life. Triumph comes when we take a chance and write it into our story. So get writing. I believe in you. Good things are just ahead. Thank you for being with me. Remember to share this episode with 3 people who you feel could use it today. Don't want to wait for next week for new insights and wisdom? Go to www.tiffanygarvin.com/emotional healing for a free guide to help you begin healing the emotional wounds that are holding you back. Again, the link is tiffanygarvin.com/emotional healing. It will be in the show notes as well. I believe in you. See you next week.